All right, let's get into the show and what happened. So, when we first started episode 11, Captain Barbo was in an open field with his party about 600 feet away, and a giant had just hurled a very large boulder his way. Somehow, Barbo managed to evade that giant, and we were able to camp. He got away, and Gerald created a spell that sounded like a resounding army going to attack the giant from far away. The giant got spooked by the spell, and this is as a little bit of background in this recap. I was basically thinking, like, for a couple of days about how I could get Barbo out of the situation, because none of my spells had any range. So I was like, how the heck can I do this? And I thought, like, maybe like a rousing speech of like an army will make him go back into his cave. And sure enough, it worked. It was great. I was really glad that worked. But Koibu, what I didn't know was that I couldn't cast the illusion from far away. I thought I could project the sound outward, but I projected it nearby. Luckily, it still worked. So Barbo evaded the giant at the beginning of our episode, and we came across some hobgoblins carrying slaves. We decided to attack the hobgoblins and free the slaves, and Gerald cast a fireball on the hobgoblins, wiping out a little bit over half of them. As a side note, it is so awesome to be able to use fireball in this way. I waited so long to have a wizard that has this kind of power. It's like you go 5 levels and you're absolutely like unable to do anything, and then finally you get fireball, and it's like level 3 spells or whatever, and it's just excellent. I love it so much. So we fireballed, killed a bunch of the hobgoblins, and we were managed to free a slave, and we were able to free that slave. And that slave was actually a noble from an estate. Kel Gray, I believe, was his name. And he offered a life quest to our party to do anything you could imagine. So stuff like passive income for the rest of our lives, stuff like bringing us a new unique item that he finds every month or something like that. And Barbo said, bring me some boots. And so that's what he's doing. He's bringing him some boots. So we also got a good amount of gold from that, and then everyone got really into gods because Midori started doing some cool stuff with her god. For her reward, she asked for a goat from the noble party. Locke asked for a weapon to help in his journey and received a magical sword, the name Greybane, which is a sword that doubles the damage of any charge attack. Gerald asked if the group knew any spellcasters, and sure enough, they did know a spellcaster in a little town of Hillsborough who awarded Gerald with Counterspell, one of the strongest spells in Dungeons & Dragons. And I'm very excited about that. Oh, yeah. Midori, meanwhile, sacrificed the goat to her god and became super jacked, like Arnold Schwarzenegger jacked, just got super huge. And now she's stacked with 17 strength. It wasn't good enough that Lily had a god. Barbara needed a god too. So God is real in Koibu's world. God is real. Lots of gods, not just one god. So what was the name of the god that Barbo prayed to? Started with an E. Chat will help. Ephra. So Barbo prays to the goddess Ephra and says, Ephra, if you can hear me, I want more power. Basically is what he says. So Ephra kind of ignores him. Whatever, you know. And Gerald, in the meantime, also does a little bit of a prayer and does a chant and a ritual to the two gods in one soul, the pantheon gods of knowledge and wisdom, which is Guam and I want to say it's Guam and Dorbath. Yeah, I was gonna say Dabuz because I've been watching way too much Genesis, but it's Dorbath and Guam. And so in response, something happens to Gerald's owl. When it was white, it's now gray. We don't know why. So Ephra isn't impressed. Barbo's got to do something better. So Barbo says, "You know what? We're gonna kill a mountain giant. We're not gonna just kill a mountain giant. I'm gonna kill a mountain giant on my own." And so he knocks on Gerald's door, and he says, "Hey, I need you to help me get to the cave." And so Gerald agrees to help him get to the cave, wants to take his party, and but he says he's going to do it alone to impress his god. Just before that, he goes to buy some poison, or looks around the town to buy some poison. Poison is rare in Koibu's world, and it doesn't work immediately because poison and that's good. I like a lot how Koibu, just a side note, changed poison in his world because poison is busted in most Dungeons and Dragons. It's really busted. So he goes and looks for some poison. He finds a blind old gnome, and the party rhymes for about 10 minutes straight trying to parlay with this gnome. The gnome sells him some poison, which is very expensive, and Barbo successfully scams the gnome. The poison, I believe, cost a lot of gold, and Barbo handed him some gold, some copper, and some silver. Managed to successfully scam the gnome and get some poison. Then he went to the cave with Gerald. Gerald cast invisibility on Barbo, and Barbo managed to sneak into the cave. Now, what I thought was going to happen was I thought that Barbo was going to poison his meal and then hide there. But no, Barbo just decides to outright attack this giant. He's just going to attack the giant, okay? And I'm thinking, just as a side note right there, there's no way that this guy lives. There's no way. I was certain that he was going to roll his fourth character. There's no way. So he actually jumps. He gets an initial great attack on the giant, does a ton of damage, runs away while throwing daggers, and then jumps on, crawls up on top of the cave, jumps down and stabs the giant in the head for another critical hit. And then he just wails on this giant, right? And the giant can't do anything. He's trying to get him off his back. Mooten's pulling off 20, 25 roll check, godlike acrobatics checks. There's just no hope. The giant's dead. He souls him. He comes back, and he hasn't talked to Effort yet, but he does take a souvenir from the giant. He takes the giant's dick. And then he brings it back to the sheriff of the town and gets a reward for taking the giant's dick. I could show you a picture of this that was posted in my Discord, but I can't because I would no longer be on Twitch. So he kills a giant alone. And then basically gives me 200 gold, which is super exciting because now I can go to a spell shop and I get some more level 3 spells. Let's go. Which we have to talk about what I want later on. Gerald gets we go to Hillsborough, where we were told that there was a sorceress who ran a shop and was told to give me a spell. That's when I got Counterspell because we set up there before we all went to the giant's cave. The party ventures off to go to the giant's cave, and we find ourselves there. And we go into the cave, and we successfully clear the cave of a large giant, another one, and 2 younger female giants, or 2 younger giants. I don't think the gender was specified. So 2 younger giants. Killed them, no problem. Killed them really fast. Actually, it was crazy how fast we killed them. And then we got to explore the rest of the cave. And as we explored the rest of the cave, we came across a strange pile of bones, some kind of necromantic energy. Gerald cast Detect Magic and went through all of his knowledge of history and couldn't find anything. Midori prayed to her god to try to find the darkness within this thing and found out that it was something foreboding and evil. The snake. Foreboding and evil. And so Barbo was about to break it. We stopped him and decided to rest first, where we found a crazy dwarf who told us that he had been in there trying to prevent himself from being eaten. It seems like this is a strange dragon creature that consumes flesh. And it eats flesh that that you put inside of its mouth. But it doesn't seem to do anything. So nothing happened. Dragon was just a dragon. Okay. Or I'm calling it a dragon. Sorry, it's a snake. It was described as a snake. Dragon is my word for it. And so we went to rest. And then Barbo broke a part of the bones on the snake, bone snake. And Locke walked up to it and it reached out to bite Locke, and there we end. Episode 11 of Gnomes, Tomes, and Catacombs. Oh my. What will happen in episode 12? Have we come across a Dracolich, a god, a bone nega? Those are some of my ideas. Is Locke dead? Find out next week, Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST. Man, that episode was good.